Hiya, I'm your host Terry J. Aman, and with Fall Out Boy, Falco, Florence, Fiona, Forever Freestyle, Fastball, Fleetwood Mac, Franz Ferdinand, My Father, Fratellis, Fountains of Wayne, Faithless, Films, and Fails, this episode of VideoFuzzy the Soundtrack is brought to you by the letter F. Hit it! VideoFuzzy the Soundtrack. Episode 7, Immortals. Coming up on the 1 year anniversary with this production, at 7 episodes into whatever this is turning out to be, I wanted to thank you all for tuning in. This podcast is having some trouble finding its audience, so if you're hearing this and you like it and you find your move to do so, please grab the promo for this episode, episode 7. It'll have posted wherever you found this one, and pass it on to someone you think might also enjoy it. Thanks. Correction. Error. First up, however, from way back in episode 6. Elvis Costello I love for his cover of humorous romantic piece, I'll Never Fall in Love Again, and for a video of his I fell in love with in the 1990s, Veronica. That got pulled into my collection when Kristen Bell had to sing a karaoke version of it in order to secure some information on Veronica Mars. I have to rewatch that scene again at some point.
Oh, wow. Well, first we'd have to go back in time and film that scene. It sounds amazing.
Thank you, Veronica. Yeah, so in the second season episode, Rashad and Wallace go to White Castle. There was a karaoke scene. Veronica was there, and she was gathering info, but literally anyone could have been singing anything. As it happened, the actual singer, Britt, in fact, Britt Daniel, the lead singer of Spoon, was inspired by her briefly introducing herself as she poured him a coffee. He's the one who sang Elvis Costello's Veronica, not Kristen Bell. And my thanks to Shotzi Eichmann for helping me out with this one. You are the best. Locals, watch for our upcoming Dakota Stage limited production of Sweetie Todd, Demon Barber of Fleet Street, running mid-October. Break all the legs. Title track. I was mentioning last time I prefer to know the lyrics, so I'm singing the actual song. I ran into an unusual situation with my title track this time. I'll get into that some here. I became aware of Fall Out Boy in the mid-aughts when my roommate had Madden NFL 06 on his Xbox. Dance Dance would play while he was building and reviewing his players and team stats. I thought it was a really cool song. I caught the video for it was mostly high school angst, or that could have been This Ain't a Scene, It's an Arms Race, which came out in 2007, and the lyrics associated with the opening scenes of the 2008 release Iron Man in my head, although that film made a deliberate callback to the Ozzy Osbourne song. I think about 3/4 of the way through then about. Along with Dance Dance, which I totally added, it rocks, they had some cool high-energy releases I was tracking off their Full ID LP, including 27, I Don't Care, Head First Slide into Cooperstown on a Bad Bet, and West Coast Smoker. I also added their Things for the Memories off their 2007 Infinity on High LP, and I just added their mid-teens release Centuries when I realized I hadn't already because it's a cool song. I recently encountered the Suzanne Vega hook they'd sampled for that one from a 1984 release, Tom's Diner. But yeah, the track that really grabbed my attention this time was the closing credit scene from the 2014 Big Hero 6 release, Immortals. An interview the band did at the time indicated that they'd collaborated with Disney on the song, that they'd caught this fantastic vibe with the storyline, a young man connecting with his fallen brother's friends, and through teamwork build something beyond his own sense of loss, grief, and revenge. Along with the Big Hero 6 soundtrack, Immortals was released as part of the group's 2015 American Beauty/American Psycho LP. The interview talked about how by working together and being there for each other, our own work lives on and touches immortality, which is a cool and very hopeful vision. I love the thought, maturity, and energy they brought to this song. I feel like I must have heard it before I saw the movie, but my experience of it as part of that movie was a significant release. I saw Big Hero 6 in theaters and watched with excitement. The movie was fantastic and the closing credit sequence was jaw-dropping. I loved the animation, the stylized graphics. Most of all, I loved the song Immortals. They The energy was perfect for that moment. The band had really outdone itself. The instrumentation was on point. The energy matched the sequence, and I know I've encountered this lots of times, but as someone who watches through the end of the credits, what? I paid for those too. It's part of the storytelling. I let the director finish. The closing credits is part of the storytelling, and the right music can shape your impression of everything you just saw. The song opens with this high-power, high-energy Japanese flute track, or this American rock song, perfect for the show we had just watched, set as it was in some future San Francisco. I could not find the flutist's name anywhere, but they took it from zero to immortal in a fraction of the time it took, say, Gershwin's clarinet to achieve that effect in Rhapsody in Blue, which was a perfect vibe. I mentioned lyrics up there, and I felt closely as the band probably worked with the production team that poetry rode shotgun on this particular Dragula. The poetry ranged from insightful, "They say we are who we are, but we don't have to be," to odd, "I'll be the god dog for all your fever dreams." And for a song called Immortal, this perfect image, "I'll be the sand in the bottom half of the hourglass." Going into, "I try to picture me without you, but I can't." It's nice. The second verse is really cool as well. "Sometimes the only payoff for having any faith is when it's tested again and again every day. I'm still comparing your past to my future. They may be your wounds, but they're my sutures." It's very cool because these very few words discuss the concept of time and immortality, the singer's comparative relationship post-losing his brother, and the medical themes for the show. That's haiku concentrations of imagery per word count. It's actually very impressive, but I did indeed mishear some lyrics. "We could be immortal, immortal, just not for long, for long." Was the putting of this episode together years old when I learned lead singer Patrick Stump was singing, "Just not for long, for long." From that theatrical release in 2014 until writing this up, I heard something completely different. I was so sure about my version, I was going to buy a physical copy of the American Beauty / American Psycho LP just to confirm that all of the online lyric searches, every single one of them, hadn't just copied and pasted incorrect information. Instead, I found a photo with the CD liner notes on an image search and confirmed for myself that it is indeed what Stump is singing. The copy is tiny on my screen and in all caps, but it was clear enough. "We could be immortal, immortal, just not for long, for long." I couldn't understand that. It's not how that word works. If you're immortal, you're immortal for a long period of time. Just not for long, for long. Made no sense to me. Why the repetition? You crammed the whole movie into the second verse. You sprawl out on your chorus? Well, especially since what I heard every time the line was sung from the very first time I experienced it seemed perfect. "We could be immortal, immortal, just life on overload." Just to recall the vocals as I heard them. "Just not for long, for long." Up against what I thought he was saying. "Just life on overload." 'Cause that would actually be immortal. Life on overload. Life plus. Life 2.0, the one without an expiry date. I hadn't given it a second thought, never tracked down a lyric search. It seemed fine. I mean, there's other stuff that stands out, too. "Live with me forever now, pull the blackout curtains down." What? "Just not for long, for long. We could be immortal, 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 immortal." So, yeah, I now know the right words, but I don't know, I kind of prefer my own version. And as misheard lyrics go, singing lyrics that conform more closely to the meaning of the song you're singing feels relatively harmless, rubbed up like a douche as it very well might be. What's been fun about this is that Fall Out Boy is a very cool vibe to marinate in. I've enjoyed their presence in my collection. I've enjoyed expanding it, and I truly enjoy how hard they embrace the visual potential for music videos. There's a lot of tertiary storytelling going on in their music videos, like some begin where the last one left off, and no, while I don't understand the visuals all the time, I'm damn sure they'd be interesting. Well, one, actually, for this one, Immortals seemed a bit mailed in, but they way made up for it in Centuries. Hold Me Like a Grudge, mid-aughts gaming, sort of Back to the Future reference. Powerful stuff. So yeah, go ahead and explore their official music video playlist on Vivo sometime. It's worth it. I only had a small number of lost tracks for this set, songs that did not transfer properly from one PC to the next, needed to be brought in again. But bringing in Dance, and Thanks for the Memories, I felt I also needed Centuries and Hold Me Like a Grudge from Fall Out Boy. I absolutely added those. From Foo Fighters, I brought in All My Life and Everlong. I got Face's acapella take on Tonics, If You Could Only See, and then gotta say I love all of these, but really I'd been missing Mass Destruction by Faithless, Take Me Out by Franz Ferdinand, Red Dragon Tattoo by Franz and Wayne, and oh yeah, 718 by Fannypack. I cannot quote these lyrics without an explicit rating, but I'll get into that sound a little more in my Sparks entry. For now, suffice to say, it's the music that opens I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, and it's a lot of fun. Influences. Moving on to full-length compilations in my collection, if anyone caught my Totally 80s episode 89 Forever Freestyle on VideoFuzzy, I talked about finding a 2-minute commercial for 80s dance hits on a 2-disc set of that name. I brought the individual tracks in from the various artists, and I'll talk about them under this heading because together they make up a full compilation. While I talked about them in VideoFuzzy, I thought this was a better place to talk about the music, particularly since when I recorded that, I'd barely brought it in. I've had a chance to road trip with this stuff since then, and I put some thoughts together, which I shared with longtime friend and friend of the pod, Jesse Zimmerman. Jesse, oh my god, these things. I thought of you because you had DJ'd for a while when you were in Minot.
Oh, probably on and off for 20 years.
Like
starting when I was in high school, DJing high school dances. I've done right around over 2,000.
Oh, okay. So
school
it's
dances, wedding dances, that kind of stuff.
It really just had maybe a little more insight than I have. Certainly, probably didn't deal specifically with this, but I was thinking that this was music that maybe you'd be able to like comment or.
I mean, no one's really dealt with this kind of music before, ever.
Not a lot of radio play. My guess was that this was a lot of club stuff, because it's high energy, low complexity.
There's 4 or 5 artists on this that are, I don't want to say mainstream, but are more known than the other ones on here.
Lisa Cult Jam, absolutely heard them before.
Absolutely. Company B had a couple things that weren't great, but they were out there. Raquel had a couple. Stacy Q.
Yeah, and
that's probably the most well-known of it. Two of Hearts is probably the most recognizable song on this whole thing. Mm-hmm. There's a couple others on here. Expose.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've run into Expose.
But yeah, there's Lisette Melendez. I have no idea who Lisette Melendez is. I don't know if she has 2 brothers that murdered their parents or not. I'm not sure. It's possible.
Sorry, other celebrities in a family to overshadow a bit. But she had 2 songs on here, and the one that they didn't play was like maybe the more interesting of the 2. But I mean, when you're talking about the more interesting of the 2, when you're talking relative levels of interest in this music, you're still, I mean, lyrically, these are not complicated songs.
No, it's a lot of repetition.
The low-hanging.
And a lot of sugar pop, funk stuff of the 80s was like the synth pop stuff was 100%. We have a hook lyric, and we're going to repeat it for 2.5 minutes.
I swear to God, one of these songs is the chorus 3 times. I've forgotten which one because they're not a memorable set of music.
Yeah, I put this list together for you and whoever wants it, but. Once I got it put together, I sat here and was doing things, was listening to it, and was like, oh, dear Lord.
It's just...
Oh, yeah.
It's the same Casio key, because I feel like this was one of those like things that happens before boy bands. You have like a producer who finds a face or an artist, and they can like grab their Casio keyboard, hit, I think you said, track 7.
Yeah, drum track 7, and we're going to use Congo Beat 3.
Miami Vice soundtrack type.
Well, it's this stuff could be classified as like even the precursor or postcursor of the synth pop wave of the 80s. Because either it was they took the idea from this and made it good, or this is where it ended up and it's crap. You know? So there really is no in between with it. It's either the beginning or the end of it. But, I mean, you can see points of brilliance in it, but yeah, it's not quite there. Like
is it like the beginning of producer era? I mean,
that started in the late 70s where the producers were really starting to try to... It started with post-Eurovision ABBA winning, the Eurovision in the 70s, and it's like, oh, we can find a group of people that are pretty and are kind of talented and throw stuff at them. And then in the 80s, it really started to take off.
Mm-hmm. And auto-tune technically wasn't invented until like the 90s, but
late 90s, early 2000s.
But they're starting to do vocal manipulations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, and like
I need you.
Yeah, and there's and other things too. Where they will take. I can't remember the song off the top of my head, but there's a few of them from the 80s where it was somewhat instrumental pop, like that Axel F kind of thing. Yeah. But they would take some vocalizations and program that into the keyboard and change up, things that way. Mm-hmm. So that was the beginning of, hey, we can manipulate somebody's voice and make it sound different than what they're singing, and maybe it could catch on. So, yeah.
I'm getting the name wrong. Frampton or...
Peter Frampton, Frampton Comes Alive.
The vocalizations.
A lot of that was done through the guitar pedal stuff, and also Bon Jovi used it, the air feedback.
I remember,
there's an air hose connected right next to the microphone, and they would put that in the mouth, and that's how they would get some of the stuff that Frampton did the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and then this music is sort of like it's kind of on, like, okay, we have a product we can sell. So we have clubs in the 80s that are maybe... Well, I mean, it's not like that CBGB, Studio 54.
The discotheques really took off in the 70s, and then punk happened and kind of killed the discotheques. But the yuppies in the 80s had all this cocaine and money to burn, and they needed an outlet, so all of these discotheques got turned into these clubs, and they were everywhere, and underground, above ground, and literally you could throw a stick and find Day-Glo, anything in these clubs, people dressed up like, Miami Vice, no socks, and, that whole vibe.
And that was probably fueling some of the need for, okay, we're in a club, now we have to have stuff to dance to.
Yeah, we gotta have catchy
Do we have to actually pay these people? Because I'm wondering if that's part of it. It doesn't feel like this is like especially complicated stuff.
They got the rhyming dictionary turned to a page and went, okay, this rhymes with this. We'll make this rhyme with this. The thing that gets me is it's not so much songwriting as it is word association rhyming. Because that's a lot of the hooks in these songs are like that. You're the one, boy. You give me joy, boy. Stuff like that. It's like, okay, really? All right. You paid a...
Change gets rhymed with rearrange a lot of these musics. It's,
But yeah, this was the beginning of the adding the boy and girl stuff. Mm-hmm. You get that with later on, like Tiffany and Debbie Gibson and New Kids on the Block. They add the boy and the girl at the thing. Hey boy, hey girl, stupid stuff like that.
Well, which translated more into top 40 stuff because it's more than just like and verse and chorus, which that gets repeated.
Yeah, they have a lyric, they have a chorus, and then they have a 2.5 minute bridge.
Yeah.
And that's where that club scene was. That's where you get that.
And no one was objecting because all we're doing is dancing anyway.
We're on so many drugs.
We're not touring with this music.
We just were in the bathroom starting to blow off a hooker, and we came back out here. We don't care what we're listening to. We're just vibrating.
Yep. And that's how you get Generation Z. Is how you get... you have Generation X distracted long enough to...
I mean, to be fair, we were worried about nuclear war, and then cocaine hit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it took.
It's a thing.
There was a whole vibe. So, like in terms of like calling this CD compilation, like there's absolutely a vibe that carries through the whole thing. There's a reason all of these songs can flow one into the next.
Yeah, and the title of it is very deceiving because when you think Forever Freestyle, you're thinking, this is street rap, these people are freestyling. You think it's going to be more rap related than it is what it is. But no, it's that sugar pop 80s dance club crap. When you think freestyle, you think LL Cool J on the streets of New York, in the early 80s as a kid. That's how he came up.
So that's a word that someone heard and then said that this should be the name of this.
You can picture some out-of-touch fat white guy with a cigar sitting back going, freestyle, that's a good word. Yeah, let's throw that in there. Kids know what freestyle is. Let's use that.
Just go pop, 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 pop.
Let's throw things in there. That'll work. Give me my money.
Yeah, because it was associated with the with hip hop, with rap, with more of what was, and I guess became sort of like a through line through the 90s into like what's going on now. But very much. Obviously more complex for airplay because you weren't going to listen to somebody's drum machine going for 5 minutes and try to sell hamburgers or cars with that.
And, when I hear freestyle, I associate that with actual talent, not, I would throw people in a room, shake it up, and see what happens.
What I was thinking was you have a DJ just kind of like mixing for like Forever Freestyle sounds like an hour-long blend into the next thing, and just create like a vibe for people. Yeah. But the CD compilation might do that, but it certainly
it doesn't.
It's what you have is something that we can sell.
Well, and
in 2007 on cable television.
Well, the other thing I can think of too is I'm sure they got some of these artists, but they couldn't afford the rights to the actual songs that you would want to hear from them. But they said, "Sure, you can have this instead." Try to circulate this. This is something we wanted to release, but couldn't at the time. Try it on this compilation album.
Let's see if I can get $20 from that. Oh, Lord. Because the whole thing is $26. I can't imagine that the artists saw any of that. It feels like they had signed the rights away.
Well, and that, that's a tale as old as the music industry anyway, is we'll sign you, here, sign this contract, so we can start going. And people are like, all right, I signed this contract, but anything you write for them, anything is their property, not yours. And that's why Prince changed his name to a symbol, at one point in time. But, it's completely changed now because everybody just goes to YouTube and says, here's all my stuff. That's how Bieber started, was YouTube videos. And then what's his name found him and said, here.
How we picked these 31, 32, however many, how deep was that barrel, do you think, when we were taking these from what was being actually played then? Like
and you think
hundreds and maybe...
If you think about today and just go to YouTube, type in new artist songs, and there's hundreds of thousands of hits. And that's people have an outlet. So you think back then, there were scouts going to every club, every little dive bar, everywhere trying to find the next big thing and signing anybody and everybody that would grab a pen and put it to paper, never to see the light of day ever again. In essence, they might find this band and sign them, and they'll keep one of the people as a studio musician and then throw everybody away. They'll cut one demo track or something and they were gone, never to be heard of again. And so there's got to be thousands upon thousands of these groups out there from the 80s that are sitting in a vault somewhere.
That we just haven't heard. But here they were again, and it was mostly because there was a commercial, and I did see it, and I was like, okay, some of these are interesting, and I want to maybe like follow up on it. And I did listen to this compilation on my road trip, Fargo and back, and it was like, okay, absolutely listenable. I mean, goodness, you're not. I mean, they had to be commercials, so they had to sell. But it's like, there's nothing to this. It's like, popcorn is
absolutely. Yeah, it was some background noise while I was doing research on stuff, or I was doing some painting here, and I just had it going. And I mean, didn't want to make me physically vomit. I mean, it didn't make my ears bleed.
No.
It wasn't my favorite. But, you could see in some of the songs where they wanted to go, they just, either the technology wasn't there or the talent wasn't there for them to do what they wanted to do.
Yeah, I think there's a couple where the mix is off, and there's there's pieces. But thank you very much for your time on this, Jesse.
No worries.
Always love being able to talk with you and get some other voices on this.
Thank you, Jesse. Jesse Zimmerman, everyone. Just, wow. Okay. I've had a chance to sit with these for a minute and talk all the trash we might about uncomplicated extended dance mixes. Some of these aren't that bad. I wanted to pull up my top 5 entries on this compilation. I'm not going by anything less subjective than I liked it, lyrics, beats, whatever, and I'll be honest with you, any and all of these would have served as perfectly good dance music at any dance I was ever at from the late 80s onward, but I did feel some were better than others. There's some honorable mentions. The high school production of Falcon Crest, teen leaves her boy for a man, one who knows how to treat her right. It's Corinna with Temptation. Starts with the singer reading a breakup scene. 'Cause he knows how to treat me like a special lady. Temptation is a part of life. It doesn't matter if it's wrong or right. Temptation is a part of life. It doesn't matter if it's wrong or right. Makes you do what you love. Oh yeah, you heard that because one of the backup singers breathes temptation into a microphone. Classic. And we got Stevie B. I want to be the one. His heart aching for that special girl to come and share his world. Want to be her honey, sugar, and spice. Be the one she's giving her loving. Want to be the one she's kissing and hugging. Be the one she's dreaming of at night. Be the one with the open door. Come on in. Let's begin our love. Just easy cheesy. At number 5, I put the cover girls with Show Me. The singer demands proof to the boy's love for her. Actually, what's standing out to me is the song sounds like it should be sung by Jenny Slate as Tammy on Bob's Burgers. Show me you really love me. Actions speak louder than words. Show me you really need me. 'Cause all of those lies I've already heard. Whatever, don't be a boat punch. Indeed. At number 4, obscure though she may well be, Lisette Melendez hits it out of the park with Together Forever. To keep away from the thoughts that we share, feel the pain that I feel when you're there. See what you want to see, but please have some faith in me. Together forever yours, together forever mine, facing what we feel inside, ready to stand the test of time. The lyrics are way over the top dramatic declaration of love. The song uses 5 or 6 different rhythm track settings and cuts off abruptly, but I could dance to this for all 6 minutes. It's probably worth having heard of it. Speaking of overdramatic, they all are, but at number 3, Sweet Sensations, Sincerely Yours begins the song in the process of writing a letter to her boo, and by the middle third she's convinced they'll break up because he's not yet answered it. You promised we would be together. but you still haven't answered my letter. Oh, I'm sincerely yours, the one my heart beats for, the one I adore. Oh, I'm sincerely yours, the love that you gave I've never felt before. Heartbreaking. Well, there's a rap break where, boy, it swears he's actually written so many, but her father is discarding them. When it finally gets through, her heart overflows with joy because she's received his reply. Number 2 is Stacy Q.
I need you.
No, not really. I mean, it's a perfectly good song. I'm glad I've got it, but I gotta give it to the much overlooked Lisette Melendez, and second of her 2 songs in this compilation. Probably one of the more lyrically complex entries in the whole thing, A Day in My Life Without You. The lyrics track a complicated moment in a couple's relationship where she wants to leave but hasn't decided she's ready to take that step, so she's negotiating for a stronger commitment on his part. So the singer is weighing her options into the chorus. A day in my life without you, keep your love life close to me. A day in my life without you, give me your love like it used to be. And then my top pick for this set is Shannon's Let the Music Play. It's Broadway floor show levels of drama when a couple on the dance floor is momentarily separated. We were dancing together and I look up, he's dancing with someone else. Cut to the very core of her being, she calls upon love to tell her what to do. Love said, let the music play, he won't get away, just keep the groove and then he'll come back to you again. Let the music play, he won't get away, this groove he can't ignore, he won't leave you anymore. Overwrought, off the charts. How dare he dance with anyone else? I'm gonna... Oh, wait, he's back. Wow, well, how did Jesse put it?
It didn't make my ears bleed.
High praise indeed. As he said in our interview, Jesse crafted a Spotify playlist for these songs and shared to my show notes for this one, so go ahead, pull them up and rock on out. Along with that, I have a few LPs I brought in over the years. I'm going to talk about the indie hit machine vibe I get off Fastball, their 1998 release, All the Pain Money Can Buy. The song I most associate with them opens with the search of radio stations. You can hear half a note of what sounds like Madonna. I guess Wubba Wubba says it's Jewel. The tone is set by a solid strum, strident guitar chord evocative of a 1950s vibe, or maybe I'm associating too closely with the video, an encounter with a pair of roadside showgirls in an Airstream trailer dancing, fruging to their breakout hit, The Way. It's such a fantastic song, image and energy, a seriously transcendent jam and storyteller that talks about a couple deciding to pick up and leave their lives behind them, including children. Ages aren't given, one hopes grown children, but anyone could see the road that they walk on was paved in gold. It's always summer, they'll never get cold, they'll never get lonely, they'll never get old and gray. You can see their shadows wandering off somewhere. They won't make it home, but they really don't care. They wanted the highway, they're happier there today. Such a different vibe. Fastball also gave us Out of My Head, which is a sort of low-key apology ballad. It's an odd verse and then just the chorus 3 times. I was noticing about the writing, some of these songs are pretty repetitive, and a few others that stand out, like Fire Escape, Good Old Days, and Better Than It Was, but they go back and forth between cool groove and odd distraction. Charlie the Methadone Man is kind of weird, like Sweetwater, Texas, and Slow Drag, which it It's much more energy than information. Sounds like dark vengeance, but you know what? They had some thoughts and they put them on out there, and I'm glad they're in my collection. Well done. Fiona Apple, before I bought her 1996 release Tidal, I think my only encounter with this artist was half a dozen oranges floating around in a tile bathtub over a sample of Middle Eastern flavored synth in her music video for Criminal. It's a good song, a weird low-energy video for a deceptively low-energy song. It explores some measured contrition, brooding about undefined injuries she's inflicted. I've been a bad, bad girl. I've been careless with a delicate man, and it's a sad, sad world when a girl can break a boy just because she can. There's absolutely a build to the closing chorus. What I need is a good defense, 'cause I'm feeling like a criminal. And I need to be redeemed to the one I've sinned against, 'cause he's all I ever knew of love. That's all I'd ever have needed to know about this low-energy, slow burn of an LP, which never climbs especially high on the Schofield scale, but there are flashes of brilliance throughout. Shadow Boxer is a chill vibe, and Sleep to Dream is probably the song that got me to buy the LP. I tell you how I feel, but you don't care. I say, tell me the truth, but you don't dare. You say love is a hell you cannot bear. And I say, give me mine back, and then go there for all I care. I got my feet on the ground, and I don't go to sleep to dream. You got your head in the clouds, so you're not at all what you seem. This mind, this body, and this voice cannot be stifled by your deviant ways. So don't forget what I told you, don't come around, I got my own hell to raise. What I love is the sudden bursts of tempo for the vocals against the somber musicality going on behind them. The song seethes with low-grade anger I'd never truly explored before this project gave me a closer look at it. But yeah, Fiona's got some thoughts about this breakup. None of these pieces explore the depths I heard in the piece that could well have led to it, which is never is a promise. The poetry of Never is a Promise, a song I know I've listened to before, never took time with it. Listening to it as a piece of music, you can overlook it easily. It's a little sparse, rangy, more emotion than image, but the woman is singing about a relationship decidedly on the rocks. You say you understand, but you don't understand. You say you never give up seeing eye to eye. But never is a promise, and you can't afford to lie. The story progresses with the song. It's well worth pulling this one up for a closer listen. She, I think, shared her strongest storyteller with this one. I feel it slid past my radar a little too easily not to highlight it somewhat here. Technically, I have a spark here alongside this one. Like with a Dandy Warhols last time, I've got a single along with the LP release. I'm pretty sure I bought Tidal on CD. I also have her cover of the Beatles Across the Universe in my collection. It was a gift from a dear friend of mine I haven't seen in too long. There's a video release with this one to Fiona in a diner. It's in the middle of a slow motion explosion, if I'm remembering correctly. It's a beautiful take on it, I thought. Breakouts. In Breakouts, artists in my collection with multiple songs, I covered most of what I wanted to about Fall Out Boy in my title track, but along with Fifth Dimension, noted the inspiration from soundtracks. I go into more detail about this involvement in the next segment, but a brief note that Fifth Dimension is in my collection with soundtrack covers. That is, I've got their covers of Age of Aquarius and Let the Sun Shine In from musical Hair. It's a fantastic vibe. Their other entry in my collections is from a cassette of Motown hits I added to my collection when I was in Botno. I think it might have been a gag gift for my Fiddler on the Roof castmates, but their epic 10-minute version of Love Hangover is absolutely in my collection. I've also got multiple songs with Felicia Day from Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, her My Eyes duet with Neil Patrick Harris from The Show, and The Art from Commentary, both of which stand out, one for the emotional depth and the other for how friggin' hilarious it is. If I walk with a twitch in the scene in the kitchen, first aid jitters aren't to blame, because all Benny feels is 9-inch heels that are gonna make me fall and die and aren't in frame, but my death scene pumps are really dreamy. Just when Billy dumps my corpse, it's steamy to see me Oh, wait, sir, lost my train of thought. It's a bimbo, 'cause it's not about shoes, even if they're sweet. Gotta focus on internal truth, not my feet. No, it's not about shoes, it's all about the art. Friggin' Felicia, the whole glory live long day. I just love nothing but love. Fahrenheit. Absolutely love this woman's voice. I've got her warm, contemplative, image-laden exploration testimony from my Putumayo Coffee House women's work collection dated 1996 and the darkly energetic stand-up I've got from her 1990 Phantom Center LP release. Well, no, I've never heard of Phantom Center. I barely heard of Farron. She's remarkable. And usually when I hear these cool songs, add them because I ran into them in a movie or show or something. But this song just seems to be in my collection. I'm gonna stand up and let myself be counted. Gonna stand up now. I got one life, and what's it to amount to if I don't know how? To love you and love myself beside you makes the gentle and proud. I wanna love life, the vision in the window said to stand up. No idea, but I'm glad it's here. I love her energy. As for the Foo Fighters, absolutely no other songs are in here because I encountered them as pop hits. Everlong and All My Life are brilliant pieces. One a bit broody, one All My Life. Actually kind of reminds me of the Violent Femmes' Kiss Off. Let me see what I was hearing here. I take one, 'cause he left me, and two for my family, and three for my heartache, and four for my headaches. All my life I've been searching for something never comes, never leads to nothing satisfies, but I keep it closer to the prize at the end of the road. I don't know, it was probably just the cadence. So I was listening to All My Life when I was out for a walk, and when the verse closed, I went, you can all just kiss off into the air. I did not know where that come from at all, but I enjoyed it. Well, it gives me a chance to explore my collection. Another aspect I appreciate about this project is the opportunity it gives me to materially improve it. Fleetwood Mac, I should have this group's entire LP, Rumors, in my collection. I had it on cassette, one of the first I purchased in college, and I lost it again, but I dubbed some of the tracks onto mixtapes, which I still had in the mid-aughts when I was bringing music in for my cassettes, so it got fed back into my collection. The sound quality is terrible. It's digitized from analog recording of an analog recording. We're just deep into copy of a copy territory. Well, sorted. Fleetwood Mac's Rumors are in my collection now the way they're meant to be, and what's more, I can actually hear them. Also replaced Little Lies, Tusk, and Rhiannon from their Greatest Hits LP. And if you got an hour to kill, listening to a bunch of different covers of Edge of 17 in Apple Music is a very cool way to spend it. A whole lot of different musicians and vocalists taking a run at that one. It's fun to hear the range of energy. I think Lindsay Lohan, Wookiee, Kings of the Fallen, and Jonas' versions are definitely of interest, as well as the Celtic-flavored Loreley's, and this ethereal take by acoustic heartstrings. That was some serious wow. So, reacquiring Rumors technically kicked Fleetwood Mac into influences. A couple of artists just climbed into breakouts when I was putting this together. I had Falco's Amadeus in here, some kind of monophonic rip, which I decided now it was time to do something about that. I replaced it, but wasn't happy with the new track that came in. The bad copy I had actually had a much cooler intro, so along with the replacement track, actually 2 replacement tracks because Apple Music doesn't start previews at the beginning, so I ended up buying 2 identically disappointing replacements before I simply remastered the copy I had, which now sounds much better, and except for a gravelly transition into the bridge, it's exactly the version of this song I would want. And alongside my now 3 copies of Rock Me Amadeus, I noticed I did not have Der Kommissar or Vienna Calling, both of which rock, so I brought those in as well. The other artist trading up as this posting is Foreigner. Remembering my trip to Germany as a junior in high school, my host brother took me and a friend to a little cafe that had a jukebox, and I played I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner. I figured it was sort of appropriate because as an American in West Germany for the first time ever in my life, I was one. What stands out about that trip was President Reagan's Brandenburg speech coincided with the week we spent in Berlin, and unfortunately security concerns kept us from seeing him. Google's telling me it happened actually on my friend Troy's birthday. What a time to have been hiding in the subway not seeing him. 2 years before the wall came down, but Good times. I had Double Vision in my collection. I was gonna pull in I Want to Know What Love Is just for the nostalgia value, but I was just seeing all these songs by them that I wanted to bring in, like Urgent, Cold as Ice, Head Games, Blue Morning, Blue Day. What the hell, I just bring in the Greatest Hits LP. So thinking my Germany trip brought up some memories for me, and a little window on why it's taken me a bit longer than usual to put this episode into the feed. When I was a junior in high school, my dad helped enormously in making it even possible for me to take part in that student exchange program. He volunteered as a driver, he took part as a host parent, and helped with our fundraisers, and his side of the family were Germans from Russia. He grew up with German speakers, so it was very cool to be able to explore some of that. We said goodbye to my dad this month at the age of 84. I wanted to appreciate his memory in a way I could hear, talking to him a bit about the music that he enjoyed. I noticed that he never got specific as to artists or genre, just that he would stream and listen to music in his office. What I remembered from my more recent visits, he was listening to gospel and older country music off Sirius XM as he drove us around. Either way, I appreciated the chance to include some of his thoughts. Dad?
There isn't anything on the radio. Unless it would have
Satellite?
satellite.
Yeah, I think you were listening to that in the car when I was visiting.
Yeah, but then we were driving so little that when it came due, it was $100 and some per year. It just said that's not worth it. So, but I listened to. Actually, I haven't really listened here at all. But I listened to YouTube and then play cards. And I did that over the last few years. And I'd play cards and sometimes for hours a day. I could listen to all kinds of different music and stuff. All that wooden machine with the record player on it.
I remember that. That's still over there yet?
That CD player is bad. The drawer came all the way out. And when it got put back in, it don't work anymore. And then the black one that's in the cabinet like this, underneath, that one there, a disc got off track and was pinched in there.
Ooh.
And surprisingly, everything came apart with screws. It wasn't put together so you couldn't take it apart. So I took the back off and took things apart and took that disc out and put it back together, but I never tried it after that.
Oh, good.
I didn't know if it was going to work or not.
What CD collection do you have? Artists that you collected or?
Yeah, I've got quite a few things. And then we're going to play things in our vehicle. Well, yeah, it goes in, but in a little bit it comes right back out again.
Was it more of a, I guess, I don't know, I think that they tried to make CD players for vehicles. That
last about 6 months.
They don't, I mean, you can try to stabilize something like that, but it's a car. I mean, you're on any kind of road, you're on any kind of, I mean, goodness, one pothole and you're... That's why a digital experience is so much more reliable. We never really subscribed to our Sirius when we were in the Elantra, but the Jeep, yeah, Ralph was visiting a friend of his in Iowa, so listening to the comedy stations all the way said it made the trip a lot easier. And just wanted to thank you guys.
Nice you came over.
Thank you for coming over today.
Take care. Love you.
That was... I mentioned in my eulogy that when CD player wasn't working, he dug into it to see what was going on. I said it would never occur to me that I would ever be able to do that. And one of the coolest things about my dad is it would never occur to him that he couldn't. We lost a good one. If you click to his obituary, he invites everyone to have a dish of ice cream in his memory. I'll amplify that recommendation from here best I can. If my dad's life has any kind of message at all, it's take stuff on and make it better. Sparks. In my Artists with One Entry segment, I have plenty to talk about. Faithless still has a powerful message to share in mass destruction. Whether long-range weapon or suicide bomber, wicked mind is a weapon of mass destruction. Whether yes or away son or BBC One, misinformation is a weapon of mass destruction. You got a Caucasian or a poor Asian, racism is a weapon of mass destruction. Whether inflation or globalization, fear is a weapon of mass destruction. He adds, whether Halliburton, Iran, or anyone, greed is a weapon of mass destruction. We need find courage and overcome, and this gets repeated 3 times. Inaction is a weapon of mass destruction. Inaction is a weapon of mass destruction. Inaction is a weapon of mass destruction. For sure, he calls out corruption here, bad leadership and egos unfettered and free who feed on the people they're supposed to lead, but holds us to account as well. I don't need good people to pray and wait for the Lord to make it all straight. There's only now. Do it right. As he said, inaction is also a weapon of mass destruction, which calls right into the only thing needed for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing, which now, if we are good, we're also complicit. Good song, Fight the Power. When my husband and I were dating, I would sing songs to him, and one of them I have a cappella version of If You Could Only See by Face. Now, back in my collection as a Face vocal band, I can't share it here because the grace notes also apply to karaoke tracks, but if you could only see the way he loves me, maybe you would understand why I feel this way about my love and what I must do. If you could only see the way his eyes shine when he says he loves me. Love that man. We're coming up on 12 years together next month, also our 8-year anniversary, and you say you love, but you don't. Give your love, but you won't. Stretching out your arms, something that's just not there. You say you love where you stand, give your heart when you can. But if you could only see the way he loves me, maybe you would understand why I feel this way about my love and what I must do. Oh, if you could only see how bright his eyes shine when he says he loves me. Happy anniversary, sweet man. There's so many more I love in this set. Franz Ferdinand, I had to grab. I saw that wacky Rube Goldberg video. I love that presentation, Take Me Out. And of course, you already saw my hair in college, so you know Flock of Seagulls, Iran is in here. And I mentioned Farron up there. I also got Fiona Joyce from that women's work compilation, Letting Go. It's a wonderful track. Florence and the Machine, I encountered Dog Days of Huddle Hugging, an episode of NBC's Mercy around the time of this bold, strident song started making appearances all over the place. Like when some sound director heard Hallelujah in the mid-aughts, and it had to be absolutely everywhere. The Fratellis Flathead I also pulled in more recently, even though it was being used to sell iPods around 2009. Flathead caught my ear when I was huddle hugging, and I nabbed it. Frankie Gaye's What's Going On is also in here off that Motown Dance Party cassette I somehow received, and Fountains of Wayne mostly because I reference them elsewhere. I enjoy their angsty teenageriness red dragon tattoo that on the face of it is just trying to do something to get someone's attention. Since they're otherwise interested in Stacy's mom, I suspect it's a young woman, but explores a couple layers about needing someone else to like you in order for you to like yourself. Will you stop pretending I've never been born now? I look a little more like that guy from Korn. That sort of thing. If you get a little bit closer, you see it isn't painted on. No, no, no. Well, then, and this was the focus I was talking about up there. I have so many songs in here that are in here because they were on soundtracks. For Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, I've got Vodakush and Ludwig Göransson's Con La Brisa and Fireboy DML's Coming Back For You. And from Buffy the Vampire Slayer soundtrack, I've got Face to Face singing God Is a Man, which is interesting energy for that series, as well as First Slide's Over My Head and 4-Star Mary's Pain, Slayer mix. Running into Frankie Goes to Hollywood's Welcome to the Pleasure Dome reminds me I should watch Toys again at some point. I talked about Felicia Day in Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog and the Fifth Dimension's take on hair up there, and of course I already went on and on about Fall Out Boy's Immortals' contribution to Big Hero 6. Also of interest to me anyway, there's a vibe Flaming Lips shared in Austin Powers' second adventure, The Spy Who Shagged Me, with Buggin'. That is a weird song. And Fisher's ethereal, if moody, Breakable off the Great Expectations soundtrack. But, oh wow, this one. Opening scenes for I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, the pickup game with Adam Sandler and Kevin James. It's just, the energy is fantastic. A bunch of rough and tumble fire guys, and that harmonica screams into a relentless bass drum and attitude for days. It's New York rap artist Fannypack from the 2005 release 718. This song picks up all the sex, drugs, alcohol, guns, and violence references, trash talk, and still manages to sound good-natured. Well, at least fun. Scared and they looking like a saw gun. Maybe they did. The boyfriend's crib. That's where I woke up this morning. 'Cause he said that you boring. Don't like him anyway. He was snoring. He can have his ass back when I'm out touring. Pretty much any other part of that song would get me an explicit rating, so that's probably plenty of that. That'll wrap us up for the Fs. Thanks again to my friends Shotzi Eichmann and Jesse Zimmerman, and to my dad for everything, and thanks to you all for checking in on me as I poke around in my music collection. As always, anything that might have reminded anyone of singing in this or any VideoFuzzy production, let me assure you that it wasn't. Any low-bar karaoke attempts you may have encountered in this tiny little project would only have been included for illustrative purposes as part of fair use review, and certainly weren't meant to infringe on anyone's licensing, copyright, or distribution agreements. Go forth, buy songs, support the artists you love. Meanwhile, please add, follow, and subscribe to VideoFuzzy the Soundtrack wherever you get your podcasts. Please share this anywhere you feel anyone else might enjoy it. And for any questions, comments, or artist suggestions, please contact me through my show notes or by email to tjaman1970@yahoo.com. For VideoFuzzy the Soundtrack, I'm Terry J. Aman. Happy listening.